Driverless cars and wristwatch phones once seemed like impossible dreams of the future, yet they are now a part of our everyday lives. Our seemingly impossible prospects for the future are perhaps not as far off as they may seem, as science fiction is slowly becoming a reality. Today, we are going to talk to you about the future of the past and the science behind science fiction.
In Back to the Future Part 2, they made quite a few predictions about 2015 that weren't too far off. For example, they had a good idea of what fashion in 2015 would be like when it comes to shoes. In the movie, it shows a pair of shoes that are called Nike Air Mags. Nike did release the actual Nike Air Mag shoes. You can get them on eBay, and the funds go directly to fighting Parkinson's disease. But that was obviously because of Back to the Future. They did predict future fashion when you look at the Nike Air Force Ones, High, which are very popular right now in 2015, and they look very similar. Now hoverboards. The hoverboard does not completely exist yet, but people are working on it, and there is one created, but it's chunky and only works on metal surfaces.
In Back to the Future, Marty McFly's kids were wearing these glasses that you could call people on and watch TV on. Google has come out with a pair of glasses that has a very similar idea as the Back to the Future glasses. Even more, Microsoft has plans of making glasses that look almost identical to the ones from Back to the Future that can do tons more than the Google glasses. It will have apps and you can watch TV, but that one's not out yet. Tomorrowland was released May 22, 2015. This popular sci-fi movie tells the story of an alternate universe named Tomorrowland, founded by four inventors, Gustave Eiffel, Thomas Edison, Jules Verne, and lastly, Nikola Tesla. This is perhaps why the hovering, or rather flying trains in Tomorrowland are called Tesla trains. However, this could also be a reference to the Tesla car company and its CEO, Elon Musk. The hovering trains could perhaps be a prediction of the company's future inventions. This movie is based off of Disney's Tomorrowland ride and attraction and has been described as the Hogwarts for science. Another common use of transportation in Tomorrowland are jetpacks, which exist today. The Martin jetpack was named Time magazine's Top 50 Inventions for 2010. This is the world's first practical jetpack, and it is intended to be used for military, first response, commercial, and recreation purposes. The jetpack can fly for over 30 minutes at 74 kilometers an hour at an altitude of 3,000 feet. The company is currently developing a jetpack for personal use. It will be released in 2017 with a target price of around $150,000 US. It is powered by a gasoline engine that drives two twin-ducted fans. This provides sufficient thrust that will lift the jetpack and the pilot into vertical takeoff and landing. There are many more brilliant inventions in Tomorrowland that I'm sure will soon become more concrete than the dreams in which they were once fathomed. But perhaps the more prominent message in Tomorrowland is the promise of a dystopian world and our need to band together and for determination so we can invent to better our world and overcome war and poverty.
A lot of the movie Interstellar was based on science, as Neil deGrasse Tyson from Cosmos pointed out. A scientific advisor and executive producer, physicist Kip Thorne, wrote an entire book about it, called The Science of Interstellar. Their portrayals in the movie of scientific concepts, such as tides, black holes, and the fourth dimension, were factual, though distorted. The portrayal of tides was accurate because tides are actually bulges in the water caused by gravity, and as the planet rotates, the tides move. So the tide doesn't actually come in or out, you rotate in or out of the tidal bulge. One thing that was inaccurate about the movie was the fact that they found potential replacement planets for Earth orbiting a black hole, which in itself could happen, but black holes are dangerous since they'll be kept at a distance, and besides we've already discovered thousands of potentially habitable planets closer to us that are not orbiting black holes, and some look to be even more able to support life. So unless something happens to those planets, it is very unlikely we would ever have to live on a planet orbiting a black hole. Another inaccuracy is that Matthew McConaughey's character, Dr. Cooper, went in and came out of a black hole. We don't exactly know if that's possible yet, but we know you would certainly die if you went into the center of a black hole. The tidal forces, that also control the tides, would stretch your body. Your feet would fall faster than the rest of you, and you would stretch to the point that you would break in two. And those two pieces would continue to fall into the black hole, and stretch and break in two, and those two pieces would break, and every piece would continue to break until eventually you would be merely a string of atoms. In a black hole, the fabric of space and time funnel to a point. So as you're falling to the center, being ripped apart, you're also getting extruded to this fabric of space, so not the most pleasant thing. If you did manage to have a trajectory that did not go through the center, in principle this wouldn't have to happen to you and you could conceivably survive, but this is still being researched. The movie also utilizes the principle of time dilation quite accurately, when the black hole's intense gravity made time pass slower, so when Dr. Cooper was in that black hole and around the black hole, time passed quicker for everyone else. This is time dilation. Interstellar also uses the idea of a tesseract. The tesseract is basically a higher dimensional object. Like if the first dimension is a line, the second is a square, and the third is a cube, the fourth is a tesseract. You can think of the first three dimensions like a graph, x, y, and z, and the fourth, which we don't have access to, is time. So if you have access to a higher dimension, you are no longer bound to where you are in time and can move freely in it, just like in this world. You can't essentially go back in time because everything would be happening all at once. You would be being born, dying, sleeping, laughing, crying, and you would have access to it all at will. One thing in the movie, Dr. Cooper tells his daughter not to let him go on the space expedition, but in order for him to tell her that, he has to have gone, creating a paradox. In conclusion, Interstellar is based on fact, though distorted. The majority of it is scientific, and the principles of it are quite plausible, and maybe one day we'll be able to travel through a black hole or have access to a higher dimension. Neil deGrasse Tyson gave Interstellar an 8 or 9 out of 10 on how realistic the movie was.
In conclusion, we as a human race have discovered that many people are very good at predicting the future in an outgoing yet realistic way. And since a lot of people were right, it makes us realize what an exciting world we live in. Looking back at the future of the past, we can expect that some of the things in science fiction movies, literature, and television shows that contain predictions of our future today will probably come true.